So the first thing that I think is important to remember when you're potting up anything from season to season is if you're using old pots, you must first clean and disinfect them. I use Dawn. I just did that a few minutes ago, and I wash because Dawn is uh, both breaks down and is good, is safe for the environment and is still clean. Start over or just take off.
You're good. You're gone.
Okay, so once you've decided on your pots, and there are different pot sizes. I love these little, for my deck, these little corner pots. They sit right on the deck, and in the corner they're away, they're safe from the wind, and yet, they're secure. You can also use this kind of pot. This is the other one that I use all the time. Now they have these clay pots. If you're using clay pots, you want to make sure that you always have a pot underneath so that the moisture doesn't get lost, or at least but these clay pots are really great. These new ones that have the hole so that you can put a different plant in each one. Because with herbs, you want them to both be able to, don't want them to cross germinate, but you do want them to be able to get in there and mix them up a little bit. Very few herbs are actually better all by themselves. They're better mixed with other herbs. So you want to choose a soil if you have the opportunity, if you are home all the time, then the kind of soil is less critical. But if you're not around all the time, you want to definitely use one of these moisture control potting soils, because it really does enable you to pay less attention to the watering process. The Miracle-Gro regular mix is also good, but you definitely want to use a potting soil. Potting soil has a different mix than because you want it to be very aerated, well aerated, and retain the moisture. So you definitely want to use potting soil. I usually use an organic potting soil, and this is the one that I prefer, which is but it doesn't matter much if you can take soil right out of your garden and or use a topsoil and mix it with peat moss, and if you mix it up well, then you'll find that you have just about the same results. You want to put it into your pot loosely. Okay, so we're going to pot is a mix of different kinds of basil. Basil is such a wonderful herb, and it really provides richness to all tomato dishes. It's also great. You don't think of it as being such, but it's similar to, it's in the same family as the parsley, and so it really enables you to have to use it with sweet things as well. So the basil that we think of as being our standard basil, I'm going to put that in the middle. So I'm going to put a couple of them here in the middle. And because this kind of basil, so I always start in my pots using small things. For those who really want immediate gratification, then you might want to use something that is a little further gone, and you'll want to use something that comes from the 4-inch pots or something like that. But I really like these because then I get the experience of watching them grow and develop, which to me is part of what the whole gardening experience is about. Then I'm going to add just a second. So I'm going to add some of the smaller. These are the variegated basil, excuse me, and they don't grow as tall. These will grow to be as much as 18 inches tall when they're at their maturity. So herbs love to be crowded. You can crowd them in so that their roots are crowded. So I'm going to put this one in here, which will give it, so when these all grow up, these variegated herbs, variegated basil don't grow as tall, so they're likely to, so we can put, nor do they get as full. So I'm going to put them right here. They'll still, their roots, you can see the roots are a little more delicate than the others were. I'll show you the root ball. So this is the root. So you can see it's not as well developed. It's a shallower root. And it'll fill in. And this is a sweet. This is a, but drainage. It's about drainage. That's the difference is that most people don't have. You know, like
We have no soil. We have
you gotta have
drainage.
those holes in the bottom of your pot, so that the water can get out. And depending on where you have them, and these pots, you don't want to hang. You don't want this up on your deck, where it's getting a lot of wind, because basil is more sensitive to that kind of breezes. So you want to put this on the floor of your deck, or or on the step somewhere, or someplace where it gets where it gets sunlight, but is still a little sheltered from the other elements, where it'll get rain. And so that's a basil pot.